What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about our train crossing, which is something that we mentioned on our channel 2 weeks ago. If you look back at that first video, we'd actually asked you guys kind of your thoughts and opinions on how we should do this crossing. We weren't sure if we should do an elevated track or keep it kind of at grade. And truthfully, with all the feedback and comments that we got, it was kind of all over the place. And we did a tally for everybody's vote, and honestly it came out pretty even as far as raising the track or keeping it at grade level. So switching back to what it's like today, let me kind of walk you through the direction we're going and why we chose to do it this way. So as you may have noticed, we are building a nice little ravine, and we're going to have a river running down through the middle. In the back will be the train bridge. Right now that is just for basically as a placeholder. That is not what the bridge is going to look like. We're going to actually use our train bridge design that can be found on our website and integrate that into the pass right here. Given that it's such a low and relatively narrow span, I don't think we're actually going to need middle supports. We'll see, but I think for the most part the bridge will just cover the span completely, and we'll have a nice solid frame to work off of. But since that's still TBD, and since we're still waiting on bricklink pieces, let me walk you through what we've built so far, which is kind of this little ravine area and natural area. Truthfully, I really like how this is coming out so far, and we've used a few different sources online to kind of draft what we're doing here. Not only have we gotten inspiration from other builders out there, but as you guys probably know, we live in Southern California where there's a lot of little microclimates, and we live in an area where you can go to the beach and you can go to the snow within an hour and a half drive. So you can really experience it all here in California. And because of that, we've been able to kind of see how terrain naturally changes in real life. So to walk you through what we're building, as you guys know, this sits on top of one of the IKEA Alex drawers. And one of the comments on the last video was, well, why don't we just lower this area to make it a deeper ravine? And the reason why we're not doing that is because we want it to be the same level as our beach. In real life, rivers are not lower than sea level. So for us, we thought it was important to maintain at least the same level, if not a little bit higher than the beach, in order for the river to drain into it. As for this area itself, the thought was to kind of create what would naturally be eroded from water. So as water comes down and washes out this whole area, it would have cut into the rock, just as you'd find in real life. And basically, this would be like a low flow scenario where there's not much water coming through right now, to create this little sandy beach area that we're going to turn into kind of a camping site and hangout area. But when a lot of water, flows through, that's when the canyon gets eaten away, as you'd see in real life. We chose to go with kind of the sand color, not only because, we have a big beach in our city, but in California, a lot of the river basins are sandy because it's kind of that sandstone material that leads, up and down the coast, and therefore it's not muddy. There is usually greenery on top, like what you see here, but it's usually a transition from kind of the beach sand areas up into the mountains. And because of that, that is exactly what we're going to do. So we have, you can kind of see the rock and sandy areas down below, but it will transition more into a green area with pine trees that we're starting to build, more rolling hills and slopes, and this whole area is going to kind of be that. And as you go back further, then that's where the mountain will come into play. More on that in the future, so stay tuned. But right now we're working on this area right here. For us, it was also really important to try and make this as realistic as possible. So you'll see down here we have some rocks, and you can see kind of where the water is flowing around the rocks, where it's got ripples and whatnot, and some whitewash. And it was important to kind of follow what you'd naturally find in real life. So the rocks themselves are like in a line, just as you'd see with a fault line. We try to make it so that they weren't scattered around, but it actually, would be how you'd find it in real life. So you can see it starts over here, the fault line kind of comes over. And not only does that then create some rapids right here, but it's also protecting and keeping the sandbank over here, which in real life is also probably how it would be. As you guys know, we try and make our city as realistic as possible. And for that, you have to make the terrain as realistic as possible too. And that's why we wanted to follow, kind of the general realism that you'd find in nature with how this would have been carved out with a river running through it. So in the future, we could see adding like a camper van down here and a little campsite, maybe some stairs coming down from over here. We are continuing our train layout, and as you can see, there's some tracks coming together. More on that in the future. Also got a ton of parts over here that we're working to build out our new areas. But overall, we're really excited with how this is turning out. The goal is basically to have the city stops right over here, and then transition into kind of a nice natural area, and hopefully we'll add a lot more trees, greenery, and just make this look as realistic as possible with, finishing the river back here. We're waiting on more parts. But overall, again, just really excited with how this is turning out. So let us know in the comments if you guys like what we're doing here and what has been done so far. Hopefully, this is a nice mix of kind of what we had talked about in the last video and what you guys gave feedback on. But this is the progress so far, especially with the holidays coming up. There's probably going to be a delay until our next posting. But thanks again for watching today's video. We're really excited about this, and we hope to show you guys more soon.